Hello there, welcome to more Haskell live coding. I'm a little bit unprepared this week, it's been quite a week, but I'll get cracking with something and just see what happens, I guess. An unprepared episode. So I think the plan for today, where I'm going to start is that working? It doesn't look like it's working. 1 second. More hassle, okay. Display capture, that one, there we go. That looks like it should now be working. Cool. So plan for today, where I'm going to start is we have an account API. We can list the accounts. We can get a single account back. We can deposit and withdraw money into an account. I'm going to start down the route of adding owners to accounts. So I'll have a bunch of entities, people, I guess, but people maybe in a legal sense, so companies as well. But the idea is you have entities which own accounts, and they can see the accounts belonging to them, and everything will kind of be scoped to that entity. And longer term, maybe not this week, but I want to start looking at things like authentication, so you can log into the system and you can see your accounts, as well as maybe having a sort of back office style or an admin style interface, where you can see all of the users, all of the account owners, sorry, and then the accounts that they own. So that's where I'm going to start, and I'm going to start, I guess, by just making my API a little bit richer. So not just having accounts inside there, but also having let's start by also having account owners, and then I'll look at maybe I'll call it people, but think entities that own accounts, and then I'll look at what the relationship should be between the accounts and their owners. That makes sense. That makes sense. So I'm going to create a new type. Let's call it named API, just because that's sort of the convention that follows named routes. And then we can say data named API. I'm going to take a mode, and this is going to be a constructor called named API. And inside there, we'll have probably accounts, it's a thing that already exists. Let's take mode, and we're going to say, this is probably going to be all namespace under accounts. And then it should be something like account API, I think. Can't remember if I need another argument there, probably mode. And then we can say people. I think I'm going to refer to this as people. I could say owners, but I'm not sure. That's right. I can also rename it later as well, I suppose. So we'll have people, and this will be the people API. It's going to take a mode. And I can't generate that because it's data, not functions. So I'm going to say data people API given some mode is people API. And then here, I'll just start with a list endpoint. And I'll just say get. I will take JSON, but actually don't take anything. Sorry, it'll be get endpoint, it'll return JSON, that's right. And maybe I will return, let's return a vector of people. I'll need to go and define what that means. And we'll have a get endpoint. And that's going to, capture It's not the account ID, this is the person ID. going to be a vector of person. Okay, that's awkward. Gonna grab a UID and we'll say it's a get endpoint. It's going to return JSON, and that's going to be a single person. And we're going to need to write derive generic from that. Okay, so we have a problem that person doesn't exist yet. We need to go into that. We have a bunch of problems because where are we? Down here we're serving. We're saying server's account API, and it's actually going to need to be this named API. Because down here I said, did I say it down here? Let's show me server. Didn't say that's named API. Oh, I said API. Sorry, take it back. Well, API is this thing. Okay, so when I define a person, I'll get a bunch more errors in this file. It'll unblock, I guess, the compiler, and it'll start telling me that this is wrong. But let's create a person. So if I go back up somewhere into here, we have a module for account. I think is the one I'm looking for, or the one I want to kind of copy. Yeah, so this defines an account. I'm going to want something which is people or person, probably person. And let's go to source person.hs. And while that's running, I'll just type it. So it's module person. Where, and then we say data person is person, and for now we'll put a name and an ID, which is the thing that we want. So we'll say something like person ID, or did I call it UID? What did I call it in the count? I call it UID. So we'll have UID, which is a UID, and we'll have a name, which is text. Import these things, and then we can export the person. Okay, so now we go back to the API. I should now be able to import person. We're good, and as expected, this now breaks. So I've said serve the account API, but actually there's more to it than that. Now, I might start to break this up a bit. So, oops, not that. Here. So if I just look at the structure a little bit, I've got some DB stuff, I've got a bunch of effects, but everything else is just sitting here. What I might do is create a namespace called account, and inside that put account and account API. So all of this stuff will move out. And then for people or person, I might create person namespace, put stuff in there. So all of this stuff will sort of move out, and then this API just becomes the top level. We won't have all of this detail. It'll just define the overall structure of the API. That's what I want to do, I think. So if I just go back to Cabal for a second, this is going to be pretty painful. But I say account.account and account.api, and we'll move that and we'll create the API. Probably should have done it before I did people, but anyway, let's just fix stuff as we go. So all of this stuff is going to go into a new file called account slash API, something like that. And it won't set that up properly because I've told it about a module that doesn't exist, or will it? No, it won't. Okay, so the module is going to be called account.api. And we're going to export API, this thing. Everything's very broken at the minute. I want to keep this indented limiting. Okay. And then I'm also going to want to find this file. I'm going to rename it. No, I want to move it to account/account. Now this will be wrong, but it'll fix it for me. Okay, cool. Coolish. Now so many things are broken. There was probably refactoring that would have fixed it for me, but let's just go through and fix stuff. Okay, this is what I want, I think. So we can just start to import all these things from servant. Quick way of doing it, I think, will be to do that. Then we'll import vector, import account, we'll import UID. We got with an account with ledger, special type. I don't know why that fixed in 64. It didn't make any sense to me. This account with ledger exports it somehow. Oh, account ledger itself is broken, that's why. Okay. Is everything okay now? Not everything okay, but is this okay now? No, the API. I'm confused because the API should be complaining about int64. And it is not. Okay. I'll leave it alone. Up here is going to be account.account. And inside here, this should also be account.account. And the API I want to fix by hand, but the ledger, I will say account.account. Right, I think we're good. Are we good? Shouldn't be good. Right, let's get rid of this. So that's gone somewhere else. And there's a thing I can do. Let's see where it's broken first. Oh, it's completely broken. And it's broken because why is it broken? Let's just fix all of these, see if it makes me happier. What else is broken? Like the tests will be broken, but that's okay. Should be okay. Main.hs. Why is that broken? Let's try Cabal build, see where the errors are. Okay, that looks like a proper error. So we're going to here. Ah, okay, we're good. I think. Right. This is the error I want. So account API is not in scope. Okay, and then the next error is saying this is not in scope, but that is in scope. And all of these functions need to move out. Let's move those out as well. So server will stay. This stuff will move, actually. I need a new function for serving just this, but I can't remember what the type is. So I'm going to get to the point where I can tell HLS to generate this type signature for me and then just copy it across. So handle get account, we will grab, I think that should be it. And now we can go to this API, the account API. We'll drop everything in there. These bits we will comment out. And then the rest of it, I'm going to have to fix all of these things. We need the account store. We need dynamic as static. Let's go error static as static. Makes more sense. We need import that. Ledger store we can import. Log. We need to import more of. No, we don't. We need to import it qualified. We need to import this qualified. BSC is byte string lazy, byte string char8. Nope. Byte string lazy char8. There we go. No. I'll come back to that. This comes from the logger. String to byte string lazy internal byte string. Data byte string. Is it that one, not the char8 one? No. It's that one. I'll get there in the end. Okay, data pack should come from text. That's not used, that's not used. Good. Okay. Get in there. So let me just move all those. Okay, so these are defined but not used. Well, not really. I will want to put it in here. So let's say named API. It's going to be broken, obviously. Couldn't match that with this. So, server T API. API is named routes, named API, which is not deriving generic. Deriving stock generic. A bit of an awkward error that. I'm guessing I can't do much more about it. Oh, I still can't do it. So account API is this thing that looks like it's okay. I mean, we should have a problem here because we're not actually handling everything yet. So we've got payments. It's not called payments. named API, accounts and people. And it's a complicated type, and I want it to generate something for me. Let's call it X. So this is the type I want. If I jump back into here, so server T API as server T F, and what was this before? Just grab those for a second. Might just be this actually. So various effects, and then server T API. I hope it's this, but I don't know. And it'd be something like serve. Serve. So many errors. Okay. Let me just put that in for a second, and then I can say, oh, I thought it would generate for me, but it does not. So we want to say API and then some stuff. What's our API? It's got list and mode and all that good stuff. So basically these lines. Oh, too many things. Okay. Server T API FFs with this. So is it something like pure? No. This was a very long type it had. So does that work any better? So here, account API is just that. Server T, I think there's a better way of writing that, but oops. And then this still won't work up in pure because it doesn't know how to do that. I don't think this type's quite right. What about doing that? Nope, still not happy. I'm sure I've done this before and I can't remember how I did it. Let me go back to here. So think how I'd write this. So people, is that the other endpoint? Yeah, people is going to be people API. Did I call it that? Yep. Okay, let me just go and see if I can look up servant named routes. Ooh, it's like magic. No, I don't want this, but I do want this, I think. So this is kind of what I have. I need to put named routes into this. Okay, so that's one thing. Get rid of mode from there. Named routes. Okay, it's better actually. So now this is the type. Okay, so I go back in here and drop that in. So we'll need to do some stuff with the effects. This is account API, just becomes API. This one, I can try doing that. Okay, looks like we're getting there. So it's going to be API as server-t and then the effects. So I need to specify the effects. I think is this lot. That looks better, and then we can export this. And then back in here, give it that for a second, it's not X, it should be something like accounts.serve. Okay, so in theory, this has moved the account stuff out. And then people API I can move in a second. Just going to see what else is broken, and that doesn't exist. Here, is that all right? Here and that. Okay, so I got ambiguity of serve in the export of the account API. Okay. Account API, I can do this. We should no longer have ambiguity. So we'll try it again. Okay. In here, I think, did I call it account? Yeah, so account API as account. Interesting singular. So it's account API, and it should be account.serve. Back to here. No instance of JSON for person. Okay. Good, I think. So close that and see if I can find it in here and close it again. No. Haskell mentioned. Yeah, it's all Haskell. Okay, so we'll go to people for a second. I think it's person. Deriving stock. And we're going to want show EQ and generic. I need to import that. And then deriving any class, I think we set for now. So we want to JSON and from JSON. Well, I'm not sure we need it from JSON yet, but let's find out. Okay. So this doesn't work yet. I don't have this API, but in theory, yep, I get the warning about not populating that, but it is now building. Okay. So now in theory, if I can restart the LSP, I'm hoping this error goes away. And then we can do the same nonsense for people API. We can move this into a module called people. That looks better. Sorry, I'm down to just one warning. Okay, so that's account, and then for people, for person, I want person.person and person.api. Whoops. If I go to person and move this, stop doing that. Move this to be person/person.hs. And in theory, when it catches up, it'll be person.person. I don't like that naming. I think this should be people, even though it's a bit weird to say people.person. So if I just rename this, rename somewhere to be people. Okay. I wish I hadn't closed VS Code there. At least it'll restart the LSP for me. Back to the API. I'm going to get rid of that. Just undefine that for a second. Put a hole in there for seconds. People API. I want to move to a new file. So people API. This will be module people API, and we'll export people API. Where that, and I need to import a whole bunch of stuff again, so I'll just import a servant. And we'll import vector and person as well, and UID. Okay, and then I can fix that import. Okay, so back to the API. I can get rid of this now, and this should be people.api. Whoops. Should be people.api. And get rid of that. Okay, and now hopefully I can import this. Okay, what errors have I got left? just one hole. Looks like it. Okay. So where I had account API, I got this function called serve. I'll get rid of this now because that's all fixed. So if we go to people API, we can follow the same pattern. And this is going to be, I can rename this now to API. Like I say, this is just API, and then we need some stuff. We don't need the ledger store, we don't need the account store, but we'll keep the logger. So import the logger, import F, import this, import qualified F. Not qualified, sorry, unqualified F. This comes from servant. This comes from effectful. I need to rename my constructor. Look at that. Okay, and then I can export serve. Go back to the main API, and this should be people.serve. They do, but morally that's not cool. Restart the LSP. And we'll see what else is broken. So that was redundant imports, and then this is the uninitialized thing. Okay. So this is where we need, get rid of that, go away. So list is equal to something, and get is equal to something as well. Don't know what yet. What's the type of the whole? So it's a vector of people. So you can say something like pure empty. Does vector export empty? Yes. So I can maybe qualify it. Okay. And get is going to be pure of person, where EOID is something. Oh, let me do test person or something like that. Test person, but this needs to run under IO probably. So test person. In fact, we should say handle get. Have I called it in the account? Handle get account. So this will be handle get person. There we go. So given some UID, that's handy. I'll just create it on the fly. So we can say something like pure of person with the UID and the name, which is going to be like test person. And this was set because I didn't import the constructor for people, person. Okay, in theory, this can now serve the endpoint. But I'm going to say do, and I'm going to use the logger. So, oh, it's these two lines. So it's not the payment ID, but it's going to be the person ID. So I'll import some stuff. If I can find it. There we go. And then log is an effect. I got that wrong. let's not do that. We do want to import this, but now we want to import qualified now. Don't know why it won't do it for me. There, it's doing it. Fix log is log. Oh, I haven't got the effect, that's why. So it is log, I think. I can see it above. Okay, we have access to the logger, so it should log something, then it should return this dummy person thing. Then I could do something similar here, which is handle list people. So again, we want the logger, I think. So log f is part of the ease. So we'll do our logging lines again. I don't think we want to add anything to it, so it should be base logger. And it's not depositing money, but it's something like listing people. Did I forget to change this? I did, yeah. Showing person. Something like that. Okay. Right, so we should now, in theory, have an API that has got stuff namespace under accounts, and then it's got people, and we go to people, it should log something, and then also I should be able to give it some random UID, and it'll just generate a pretend user for me. Plan. Okay. Grab build. That's a good start. So cabal test. Oh, this is going to be horribly broken. Let me just run it. So this is the wrong browser. Thanks very much. Here, no, not that one again. Wow. Let's see if I can find the browser I'm using here. Very annoying. Give me a second. Right, localhost. I'm having a good night tonight. Nothing under there, but when I go to accounts, we get all the accounts. I'm just going to grab one of these because I'm going to use it to cheat and look at people. So we go to /people. Oh, it's serving the accounts. That doesn't look right to me. Where's the code editor? So it did say listing accounts both times, which would suggest that I messed up a little bit. Maybe more than a little bit. So people is named routes with people API. And then down here, we got people.serve. And where did we import that? Where did I import it? Here. People API qualified as people. That makes more sense. Right, try it again. Okay, so now I can find the right browser, this one. I reload people, there we go, it's now empty. And it now says listing people. Okay. And then, did I grab the random UID? Have I lost it now? I lost it now. So let's go to accounts. This is not the other person yet, but it will be soon. So if I go to people / that, there we go. It's the test person that I told it to return. And down here, you can see showing person, and it's got the ID in log. Okay, that's our people API, but we really would like proper people, I guess. So that would require something in the database and then an effect for getting that data back. I think, some seed data as well, I guess. But maybe before I do that, I should really fix the account test. These are all going to be a bit broken, I think. So ledger stores, balance is definitely going to be broken. But I should be able to fix it just by saying that. It's just because I moved something. Bring up another window so I can source test Emveric, rename the terminal to be test, and then Cabal test. Okay, that was enough to fix all of my tests. That's nice. Okay, so if I go to account, there's not much in here, right? It just has these fields. I'll need to put an owner in place, which is going to be UID that references the person. But I'll do that later. Account store is going to import DB accounts, and I think I want a DB people as well with similar stuff. So back to Cabal file. So db.people. While it's rebuilding, I can quickly create a file. Source. I'm not typing well tonight. db people.hs, and this is module db.people. We'll export some stuff. I don't know what it is yet. Where, and then let me just go and grab this, and we'll do something similar. So we will do, let's do a get endpoint first. We'll want get and we'll want list. I don't think I want this to be count DB error, but we'll come back to that. Right, so that connection, that UID, what happened there? That UID, it's going to be a person that it's returning, and I really just want this to be DB errors. So we got not found and we got session error. Let me go into here and find this thing. I don't think I want it to be a count DB error. I think I just want it to be, oh, it's got insufficient funds, is the only thing. Okay. People DB error. back at some point and look at errors because I think I'm getting a bit of a mess with them. Get session comes from, ooh, it doesn't come from DB Ledger. Oh, I need to write it, that's why. I need all of these things, so is not found. I'm going to want to make a helper rather than just copying and pasting it each time. And then get session and get statement. I might just collapse these when I write it. So this is going to be a bit broken, and I want to go and grab quasi quotes, whatever you call it. I will export get. Right. Session.statement. Why don't I just put this in line? I don't know. Let's pull these things in. So this is gonna be that. It's going to return person. This is going to return a person. We'll import that. Okay, so to account. Oh, sorry, I'll import this as well. I'll import diemap from profunctor. Okay, to account. It's actually going to be to person. I guess this was used multiple times, but let's just define it and write it again. Right, it's going to take UID, it's going to take text, it's going to take an int64. It's not going to take these things at all. So what's in a person? People. Okay, it's got an ID, it's got a name, and that's all it's got. Let's get rid of that, it's all wrong. What's upside right now? It's weirdly upset about this comma. Okay, so we can now define this, tidy it up a bit, so we'll just import text. Okay, so given these two things, UID and the name, I want to return a person with UID and name. That should be enough for now. Okay, we have a bit of a problem because we don't have a people table. So, we got this stuff to create accounts. This is the seeding of accounts. But in migration, we have this. Okay, cool. So in here we can say 005, create people. There we go. That should be enough, right? It's got an ID and a name. Okay, and then in the seed, we could create a couple of people as well. What did you say? 003 people. SQL, drop that in there. What does T do, I wonder? Created a funny, it's a UID v1, I think. Not what I want. v4 is the way to go. So we had that. And then test person. And now. I need to space that. I think that should be okay. Test person 2. Oops, I'm missing a new line. There we go. And this can be test person 1. I want another UID for this one. Okay, so in theory I should be able to migrate and then run the seed and it should create the tables for me, I think. I'll run. What can we run? Migrate. And then seed. Right, nothing, right, nothing, right, nothing. Must be some log I put in before. Okay, so back in here, we can also write something for list, I guess. Did I call it list before? Yes, I did. Okay, so it's either going to be not an account DB error, but a people DB error. It's going to be a vector of person. Okay, all of this can stay as it is. It's now going to be vector person. Our map will also come from profunctor. So let's undo that. Undo that way instead. So v.map to person, I think it was called it, and then v is vector. Okay. Okay, cool. So now we don't want to grab that. We're not going to grab it from account. Oops, let me get rid of that. I'm going to grab it from people. And then in theory, I can export list. Okay, almost there. So there's an account store effect. And I'm going to want to create a people store effect. It's going to be like get people and list people. How are we doing for time? Running a little bit late. And there's quite a bit in this. I think what I'm going to do is work out why that is not imported globally. But what I'm really going to do is wait till next week, and I'm going to continue with this, but I'll add a people store and start to add this stuff in. And then I can go back to the people API and connect it up. So this list should take a people store. Or this get in this list should take a people store, and you should go and grab people from that rather than just returning this empty vector. Yeah, okay, so I'll leave that for next week. But yeah, I've started to split it out. It's just a lot of plumbing this week, I guess, but breaking the API up into separate modules, and then starting to add all of the code that I need for listing people. Seems like a lot of work, but I guess it is a new API endpoint and also talking to the database, and soon a new effect. And you forget how quickly an hour goes when you're coding. Okay, cool. So yeah, thanks for watching along. Next week I'll come back to this and I'll finish off the database and the effect and the API for listing people, and then I'll look at connecting accounts to owners. So we can say, look at a person and it should show the accounts that they have. Cool, that's the plan for next week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.